So the Beatitudes, I just want to walk through some of them. We've heard the Beatitudes our whole lives, haven't we? I would like to approach the Beatitudes from the perspective of Bishop Robert Barron, a great teacher of our time. He's really helped me understand them in a better way. And he's looked at it this way, that there are positive Beatitudes and negative Beatitudes. What I mean by positive and negative is that there's not like a negative blessing, but rather a positive Beatitude is, blessed are the peacemaker. It's positive to be a peacemaker, isn't it? But blessed are those who mourn. Mourning seems to be a negative thing, doesn't it? So why is it a blessing to be mourning? That has a negative connotation. So I want to look at those that have a negative connotation. Blessed are the poor. Blessed are those who mourn, and blessed are those who are persecuted. How can that be a blessing? And Bishop Barron has really helped me understand that by giving a modern interpretation to how we might understand this, okay? That's all we're going to do this morning. But again, with the idea that these are Jesus' first words of really what it means then to be his follower. So he's going to put out here for us the fundamental heart of Christianity in these Beatitudes. Bishop Barron says that, reminds us in our Catholic teaching that all of us are made for God, aren't we? We all are made for God. God created us for God. That there's a longing in our heart for God, whether we know it or not. But what happens in all of us, because we have a fallen sinful nature, which is called concupiscence, that we have a fallen human nature, is that although my heart searches for God, the infinite God, I have an infinite hunger for God, I try to fill that infinite hunger with finite worldly things. So though I have a hunger for God, a hunger only God can fill, I turn to something besides God. And therefore, I get that thing, and I feel good for a little bit, but in the end, I'm left frustrated. I'm left still empty. Am I making sense? I have a desire for God. All of us do in our hearts. But instead of going to God to fulfill that desire, we might turn to material things, pleasures. And in the moment, they are satisfying, but they don't last, do they? They never do. So what Bishop Barron, he rephrases that word concupiscence, which is a church term for this tendency to turn to other things besides God. And Bishop Barron uses the word addiction, because that's something that a lot of us can be familiar with. Instead of turning to God, we turn to worldly things, and we can become addicted to them instead of God. So let's dive into these negative Beatitudes and maybe understand them in a new way. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. What is our Lord trying to say? Perhaps we could look at it this way. Perhaps Jesus is saying, how blessed you will be, to all the people gathered. How fortunate you will be if you do not seek your happiness in material things. How blessed your life will be if you're not seeking fulfillment just through material things. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And how easy it is to find our satisfaction in material worldly things, isn't it? Is there anything wrong with worldly possessions? There's not. There's nothing wrong with them. We all need a roof over our heads. There's nothing wrong with having a watch to tell time, shoes to get us around, a car to drive in. There's nothing wrong with those things. But when I begin to seek my identity on what that house looks like, when I find my identity and approval in the kind of watch that I wear, the shoes on my feet, the car that I drive, Jesus is saying, how fortunate you are if that's not you. How blessed you will be if you don't find your fulfillment in those things. Those things aren't bad, but your fundamental identity and happiness will not come from them. Worldly things can give you joy, but they cannot give you ultimate fulfillment and happiness. And blessed will you be if you know that and live that. I like that. Makes sense. Nothing wrong with worldly things. But when we try to hang our life on them, that these are the things that are going to bring me happy. Oh, I'll be happy if we can get this. I'll be happy when we get the new kitchen. Oh, I'll be happy when... Well, you will be happy for about that long. Right? We've all been there. Remember when we were kids? Oh, if only I can get a car. When I get a car, I'll be happy, Mom and Dad. I'll be so happy when I get a car. And I get a car. I got a car. I get it. I got the car. And I was happy for about that long. And then, oh, I'll be happy if I can get a better car now. Or I'll be happy if I can put new rims on the car. Or I'll be happy if I can put a new muffler on the car. Then I'll be happy. Oh, I'll be happier if I can put a new sound system in the car. Then I'll be happy. And I work and I work and I get the new rims and I get the new sound system and I'm happy about that long. And then it's the next thing, isn't it? And then it's the next thing. And then it's the next thing. Pick whatever it is. How fortunate you will be if you don't get caught up in that, Jesus is saying. Blessed are they who mourn, for they will be comforted. This one has puzzled me for most of my life. Blessed are they who mourn. Does Jesus want a bunch of crybabies around him? No, not at all. Blessed are they who mourn. Bishop Barron looks at it this way. Perhaps Christ is saying, how fortunate you will be, how blessed you will be if you are not addicted to, if you do not hang all your hopes on happy feelings. How blessed you will be if you are not addicted to just happy emotions. Is there anything wrong with being happy? Is there anything wrong with good feelings? There's nothing wrong with them. But if I'm making good feelings and feeling good the center of my life, I'm gonna struggle. Because as you all know, things in life don't always produce good feelings. Some of the most important things in life actually are going to have some of the hardest feelings involved with them, aren't they? So if I'm only doing what's going to feel good in the end, I'm going to be left frustrated. Again, there's nothing wrong with having good feelings. But any of you who have been in any kind of relationship know, any parents, you know this. You're not going to do just what makes you feel good. There was a long time ago, maybe time's flying, 10 years ago or so, Sheryl Crow was really popular, used to like her music, and she had a song, If It Makes You Happy, It Can't Be That Bad. You know that song? If it makes you happy, it can't be that bad. She liked that song. There's a reason I didn't go into recording. But if it makes you happy, it can't be that bad. That's kind of the theme. If it makes you happy, it can't be that bad. How fortunate you will be if you don't live your life that way. No offense, Cheryl. But just think about this, for example. You who are mothers, you know this experience more than anyone. It's the middle of the night, and once again, your baby's crying. And you've laid there and you go, I wish that baby would just be quiet. It would be so nice if I'm just going to roll over and eventually she'll just cry herself to sleep. But you know you need to get up, don't you? If you live your life just on doing what makes you happy, you're going to miss a lot of important things, right? And how many situations through life are there like that? There's going to be moments, especially as Christians, that the right decision is going to have the very opposite of happy feelings. There's nothing wrong with happy and good feelings. But Jesus is saying, if that's the primary motivation for my decisions, you're not going to find blessedness. How fortunate you are if you're not seeking ultimate fulfillment in just feeling good. Blessed are they who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are they, how fortunate you will be if you're willing to make and enter into very hard situations with love and faithfulness. You're going to be comforted and you're going to be on the right track. Don't fear difficulty. And Christ will model that ultimately in his life. And lastly, blessed are they who are persecuted for the sake of righteousness. I don't think any of us want to be persecuted. What is Jesus saying? That he wants us all to jump in front of the gun? Perhaps it could be this way, as Bishop Barron suggests. How happy you will be, how fortunate and blessed you will be if you are not constantly longing for approval. How happy you will be if your contentment in life is not dependent upon the approval and the honor you get from those around you. There's a temptation to be addicted to honor and esteem. There is. We long to be recognized by others. to be seen as good in the sight of others. We love to get promotions and affirmations. Just think about from ourselves how, like, I could give a sermon like this, and afterwards many people could say, that's a great homily, it's a great homily, and one person could say, I didn't like your homily. What will I remember? 100 people could compliment you on something, and one person could criticize you. What will you remember? And some of you will be crushed by that. It's 1 out of 100, but that's how we are, aren't we? We long for that affirmation. We long for that. And if we're not careful, Jesus says, if you're not careful, we can begin to live our life for that. And that's not a healthy thing. Blessed will you be. There's nothing wrong with being affirmed, but blessed will you be if you're not just seeking for that. If that's the goal of your life, is to seek affirmation from others. You will have a fortunate, blessed life if that's not the driving goal of your life, is to seek that from others. When it comes to you, it's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's a blessing when you get that, but don't seek after it. Think of the teaching of Jesus. The last shall be first. Take the lowest seat, and if they raise you higher, wonderful. The greatest becomes the servant of all. And again, Jesus models it. Jesus places himself last. Think about the esteem Jesus received in this moment. He was abandoned, rejected, and mocked in this moment. But deep down, what did Jesus know in this moment? His Father loved him. He was doing the will of his Father. And that's all he needed to know. Those are 3 of the Beatitudes. These are the invitations that Christ are offering us into a life of blessedness that may, in many ways, not be parallel with the ways of the world, kind of perpendicular to them. And you and I are invited into this life of blessedness, and how fortunate and blessed will we be. And so I wish you many blessings as we all try to live this life. None of us are perfect. I have a long way to go in many of these. Let's pray for each other, let's support one another, and invite all of you to go further into this invitation from Christ to live a blessed life, to be that remnant people that live this faithfulness and will have the power, by God's grace, to really transform the world based upon this. And that is a beautiful vision. God bless you.